has begun. But it didn't begin today. It didn't begin yesterday or last week or last month or last year. It's actually been going on for a long time. What do I mean by that? Well, BlackRock has 400,000 Bitcoin. They didn't acquire them in the night. Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy has a couple 100,000 Bitcoin. It took them 4 years to buy them. Elon Musk's Tesla company has God knows how many thousands of Bitcoin. They also didn't buy them in one night. Right? Satoshi's wallets have more than 1 million Bitcoin, which is worth obviously billions of dollars. Right? He didn't acquire them all in a night. He mined them over a period of time before disappearing into the ether and not the Ethereum. Although maybe, who knows? My point is, the battle of the Bitcoin billionaires is far from over. Right? It is, in fact, still in the early days. What do I mean by the Bitcoin billionaires? Well, very specifically, I'm talking about billionaires who are buying Bitcoin and people who are billionaires thanks to the fact that they have Bitcoin. Of course, there are more billionaires who got into Bitcoin after it was created than there are people who have made billions from Bitcoin. Nevertheless, it doesn't really matter how they became billionaires. And it doesn't really matter if the price of Bitcoin ever moves for these people. Yeah, they might have some interest in seeing it go to 100K, 500,000, 1 million, 1 billion, whatever, insane numbers. But if you're already a billionaire, statistically, it doesn't really matter, right? How many more assets you accumulate. There's only so much currency a person needs. There's only so much material wealth a person needs to live a full life. At some point, the money you accumulate is just, numbers. And I saw recently an interview, or part of an interview, it's not even a new one, but it was with the guy, Tim Ferriss, known for his book, the 4-hour work week or whatever, which is, this idea that you can live a full life and meaningful life and also have a profitable, gainful form of revenue or streams of revenue if you manage your work to, be just done in the most essential things to focus on, and you can boil it down to like 4 hours a week, which of course is not possible for many people, different jobs that they have, etc. But for some entrepreneurs, the idea of approximating a smaller amount of work hours per week is achievable depending on what they do for a living. Anyway, the point of that is I saw him make a comment that that money, no matter how much money he accumulates, right, because he's well enough off that he doesn't really have to care about chasing the dollar, so to speak. He said that money is just basically a stack of experiences. It just represents experiences, which to some degree, yes, it can represent a stack of experiences depending on how that money is generated or how it's accumulated. Right? It can also be not experiences. It can be from something totally different. Yes, it can be the product of an experience or the derivative of an experience, or you could just be the lucky benefactor of some experience that you didn't necessarily create even, and you're just the recipient. But yeah, if in the case of most people, you generate your own wealth, or you generate your own income, even if it's never going to get you wealthy. You can characterize wealth as being just a stack of experiences at some point, but the money is not the experience. The money may be a product or a derivative of an experience. The money itself is not an experience. Okay, yes, you can argue, well, the first time I made $1 million, all at once from a big sale, it was a hell of an experience. Okay, maybe. But it's the experience of having generated the money, not the money itself, that is the experience. And that's not to diss Tim Ferriss or something like that in any way about that comment at all. It's just, I think, a different view, which is, no, money is not an experience, right? It takes experience to generate money in many cases, in most people's cases. It takes know-how to generate money, but the money itself is just the product, right? It's the end result. It's the medium of exchange. It's not even the product, really, unless you're like in finance or something, or trading or investing, right? Money is just the medium of exchange, where most people trade usually their time and their labor in exchange for money that they then turn around in exchange for the goods and services that they need to live day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, decade to decade, and so on. So that's why I say that these billionaires who have so much money, they really don't have anything to do with it other than invest it, donate it to charity, find other ways to put it to good use. But essentially, they just keep on, they're going to keep on growing it as much as they can. Right? And especially if they're self-made billionaires in any way, usually they're not necessarily overachievers, but they are overachievers when it comes to generating wealth. Right? So they're not going to stop trying to generate more money, even if they have more than they'll ever need. Right? Even if they intelligently set up a trust fund for their families, so that their families never need to worry about it, not for 1, 2, or even 3 generations. But here's a fun fact. No matter how big your fortune is, unless you literally have like at least hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm talking hundreds of, not just even 100, like hundreds of millions of dollars, like 3, 4, 500 million dollars at the very minimum, right? Typically, the wealth that you generated will be gone within 3 generations, like completely gone. Because the first generation after you, right, your children, they will, unless you've taught them how to do what you do from an early age, they will idealize what you did, and they will be afraid to lose any of your money in most cases. Some of them will be brash and actually lose a lot of money compared to what you left them, like Donald Trump. He was given a lot of money by his dad, and he managed to burn pretty much all of it. And had he just left it in an S&P index fund or other index funds, he would actually have more money now than he does. Meaning all that effort he did into trying to build buildings and all this stuff, build golf courses and whatever. And that's not to say that he shouldn't have tried. Okay, I'm not criticizing his attempt, but he's a failed businessman in that sense. And you can say, well, he's a billionaire. What kind of failed businessman is he? Yeah, he's a successful person at generating cash. That is absolutely true. He's very good at generating cash. But in terms of growing the business that he was handed, no, he's not. He's abject failure at it. Right? But again, he's extremely good at generating cash. Now, these days, he's doing that a lot through selling all kinds of silly things that somebody of his stature normally would not be selling, like shoes or even NFTs, which to some degree are actually a very smart move in the sense of how they're impacting the long-term nature of politics and fundraising, because Laugh at it all you want. I'm telling you, you're going to see more and more politicians using NFTs to generate funds. Okay, and he was among the first to do so, and certainly the biggest name to do so early on. And you can laugh all you want about it. It's kind of funny even, but the fact is he was a very early adopter in that sense, as was his wife, and you're going to see more of that. And he's also getting into Bitcoin and crypto, right? And he himself has said, you know, he wants to get more into it and he wants to make America have a bigger treasury and this and that. And of course, I obviously think it's a terrible idea that America should not, you know, no country should have big treasuries, but it's not stoppable, right? Countries can have treasuries, and many have, and they're trying to grow them as much as possible, right? And in a way, okay, good for the country, whatever. But when it comes to Bitcoin, I prefer that it would be distributed among retail holders. But that's not the case. It's like it has become like any other form of currency, in the sense that the very few hold most of it. And in the sense that Bitcoin is extremely not well distributed. Right? Like if you thought fiat is not well distributed, well, BTC is way more uneven in its distribution. Like by far. It's not even close, right? You're talking 13,500 people or wallet holders. Just 13,500 own 91% of all the Bitcoin that there can ever be. Imagine if 13,500 people owned 91% of all the money that there could ever be, all the currency, fiat. It's nuts. But that's what it is with Bitcoin. And that's why I think other coins like Litecoin are going to do phenomenally well in the years to come. Because people are going to realize that Litecoin has all of the same good qualities as Bitcoin. And it has only 4 times as many coins as Bitcoin. It has the same code, has all the same benefits. It's mined by pretty much the same network of people and companies. It has 4 times the transaction speed. And it's not currently owned mostly by whales, you know, and large wallet holders. So whether or not Bitcoin ever becomes $1 billion coin or $1 trillion coin or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? What matters is that you don't get left in the dust by ignoring, you know, the math, basically, and the distribution of the future of value transactions. Okay, that's going to do for now. Talk to you guys later. Happy Bitcoining.